You know how much hassle it is to organize a meeting. I don't just mean finding everybody and getting them all together. I mean, even a one-on-one meeting. You've got to come up with a time that's going to work for both of you. And then one of you has got to send the invitation and the other one's got to accept it. And then how are we going to meet? And then what are we going to be talking about? And then when the meeting comes, okay, if you're meeting online, well, we're going to meet over Zoom, for example. Well, how are we going to do that? Can you send me the link? And then during the meeting, you make a number of promises. And you promise that you are going to do something. You're going to send them something. You're going to introduce them to somebody. You're going to invite them to something, maybe to a follow-up meeting, maybe to regular meetings. All of this, starting with booking the meeting and then preparing for the meeting and then holding the meeting and then committing to those things that you've promised during the meeting, all of that takes time. And all of that can be potential friction and can actually stop you from even wanting to arrange meetings because it's just too much hassle for you. A lot of those activities that I've just outlined don't have to be one-off things that you have to remember to do every single time. There's plenty of it that you can automate. So when we go into booking the meeting, you can do things like, okay, so we're going to agree on a meeting time. Is that going to be back and forth with text? No, you can automate that. You can really make it easy. You can include a link for people to be able to book the meeting. Send them an invitation. Do you have to go in and do that manually? Once again, people can book for themselves at a time that's going to work in your calendar and in theirs. And you can do that using even free tools such as Google Calendar or Calendly. There are paid options for both of those. And also including a way to meet. So if we're going to meet online, once again, you don't want to be having that back and forth and saying, hey, here is the link, or where is the link? Okay, this is another thing that you can automate, and I'm going to share that with you in a moment. Same thing with the meeting preparation. We can include the link to, for example, Zoom, if that's how you're meeting. You can include your contact details, and you could include that in the invitation itself, just as you would maybe in your email signature or the location of where you're going to meet. You can include that in the meeting invitation, and that stops all of that back and forth and telephone tag and can you email me the details? Can you send me where are we going to meet? How are we going to meet? All of that preparation. So too, in preparing for the meeting, you're going to bring certain materials. Maybe you've got a series of questions you're going to ask. Maybe you've got a little presentation. Maybe you want to share your screen. Maybe you want to send them a link or something that you actually want to share during the meeting itself. And you can prepare for that. All of that preparation can be done ahead of time. And it doesn't all have to be done every single time you have a meeting. For example, supposing you have an agenda. Well, your agenda is going to be pretty much this very, very similar, if not identical, for your first meeting with new people. And so you could include that in the invitation automatically. And then, of course, during the meeting, I've only covered this very briefly, but you would cover the agenda. And if you made some promises, I'm going to promise to introduce you to somebody or to send them something, all of that can be prepared ahead of time, so that when the meeting comes along, it's going to run more smoothly. So too, after the meeting, okay, it's always really good especially in a sales situation or in business generally, for both of you to know what is the next step that's going to happen. What do I have to do next? What do you have to do next? And how will we know when we've done it? By when? When are we going to do it? A clear next step. And so that's a really, really good thing to keep in mind for every business meeting, is you've got some kind of intent. And then so after the meeting, I'm going to send the materials that I've promised. having all of this at your fingertips just makes it so much easier and makes you look professional as well. Booking the follow-up appointment. I've got the link handy. I don't have to play telephone tag or say I'll get back to you. You simply say I've got the link. I could do Tuesday at 10 a.m. or Thursday at 2. Does either one of those suit you? Or simply send them the link so that they can book in the time for your meeting. And then if you want to have a regular meeting, a recurring meeting, once again, this is something that can all be automated. Now, you're probably thinking, yeah, that's fine for you, Anthony. You're a technical guy. you're an IT guy. I find it all too overwhelming. Well, so what I've done here is I've expanded. I've got in this document here, and I'm happy to share it with you if you want to. If you want to download this document itself, I'm happy to share it with you, because what it's got is a set of short videos. They're all available on my YouTube channel that cover a lot of these steps. So agreeing on a meeting time, is that something you can automate? Absolutely. It doesn't mean that every single time you need to automate it, but you can. And you can do that using Google Calendar. You can do it using Zoom, or you can do it using Calendly. And I've got a link, there's a link there to a video where I covered that in the basic setup of Calendly. What about sending an invitation? Once again, that's something that can be automated, that is actually done through Calendly, and you can do that through the free Calendly account as well. Now, what about including a way to meet? That's a real pain these days when people are meeting online so often. That back and forth, wouldn't it be nice if we just had, when people are booking the calendar meeting, you can also include the video conferencing, include the link. And then when your calendar event comes along, when you're the organizer of the meeting, it's automatically, I just click on that link and there I am, I'm in hosting that Zoom meeting. Or if you're the recipient, if you're the person invited, you don't have to look anything up. I've already got the link in my calendar appointment. It's all there. So that can also be automated. And so if you're using Google, if you're using Gmail or Google Calendar, you can have Google and Zoom work together. You can have Zoom working with the meeting booking. You can have Calendly and Zoom work together as well. Okay, so all of these are options, are things that can be automated. And I've got these videos here linked just in this document. These videos, you can search for them yourself on my YouTube channel, or else if you want to download this document, then give me your email address so I know where to send it to, and you'll get all of these links. They're just short, free videos. So what about the preparation? Including the link to the Zoom, the contact details, the location. Yes, that all can be automated. And the fact that I say that it can be automated doesn't mean that you have to automate the whole thing every time. You can still make exceptions, you can still make changes, but having a nice, simple, hey, we're going to have a meeting. Here is the rough agenda, here's the rough outline. Fantastic. Including notes, downloads, links, presentations. This is all stuff that you can have handy. And so that's something that you might send to them ahead of time. Hey, here's what we're going to discuss. As part of the preparation, you may want to watch this 2-minute video, which is going to explain a little bit more about what I do or how it might help you. Okay, and what about during the meeting? Okay, well, we've already spoken about the agenda and keeping a record of that. And there are plenty of ways of doing that using these tools or other tools, so that you don't have to go and start and open a new document, although you can certainly do that. And ways of sharing that Google, if you've got a Google document, how you can share it during the meeting or after the meeting. Okay, same thing with when you're promising to introduce somebody. So all of these things can be automated. and then a clear next step. Once again, if you've got your Calendly all set up with that Calendly basic setup, you've got the link in the video there. You can do that as well. Just set up your Calendly and you just say, funny, okay, you want you want to have a follow-up meeting? Then here is my link. Why don't you go ahead and book it straight away? Okay? And then sending the materials you've promised. That's something that you might do inside the meeting or afterwards. But you will really want to reduce the friction and reduce the extra work and automate as much of this as you possibly can, so that you are not spending a lot of time either in preparing the meeting or even in booking the meeting, preparing it. You're not wasting time during the meeting looking things up, and after the meeting. Okay, you can allow them to book that follow-up appointment, or maybe book a recurring meeting. Now, this document, I'm happy to give you a copy of it. Just include your email address. Click on the link below and you will get this document totally free, which will include a link to videos on my channel that show you how to do these things. Now, what I'm going to do is keep improving this document and adding things to it so that, for example, booking the recurring meeting, well, that can be done. Setting up a recurring meeting can be done in Google Calendar, even if you don't use Zoom and even if you don't use Calendly. So I can create a video there on how to do that. So I will keep you up to date with that. So put your name and email address in the link below and you'll get a copy of this document so that your meetings can be much more streamlined and your appointments, your automation can just look much more professional and save you a lot of grief and a lot of technical frustration.